All right.
But yeah, so in many ways, I think the problems that we face nowadays is that we have, in the church in the West has pretty much had a privileged position for a long, long time. 17 centuries of, we call it Christendom, where the church was central to society. What has happened over time, and it's really the last 200 years, but accelerated in the last 50, where the church has increasingly experienced a marginalization, a decentering from the center. And we've had to rediscover ourselves what it means to be a movement at the margins of society and witnessing to broader society. I mean, it's a huge shift. We have to begin to think like missionaries again, and hence much of the conversation, as we're going to flow with, is the conversation about missional church. But the issues that we face are severe. I come from Australia, so where the church really is so marginal as to be almost non-existent. All respect to Hillsong, but we're not winning the day there. In fact, we're really, really small. And that, in a sense, could be a future in America unless things change. As far as we can determine, all the indicators statistically is that we're on the decline right across the Western world. That the church is experiencing some sort of crisis, both theological, missiological, but also in terms of how we express ourselves. And so this requires that we go back to our fundamental codes. That's the re-word: restore, refresh, recalibrate. I like the word recalibrating. Reboot, if you will. And I think that that's a very fundamental thing. We've been talking about this, Ben, is that really the challenge, I think, for American churches is that the way we do church now primarily reaches quite well into about 40% of our population if you generalize it across America. We do reasonably well, but it's very competitive. It's a red water, red ocean kind of strategy. Most churches reach into the 40% effectively, but leaving largely a 60% slice of Americans who are increasingly alienated from our expressions of church. So that's the real challenge that we have to
So it's your conviction that the way that most American churches are doing church is at best, churches that are effective, because there's plenty that aren't really reaching and making an impact on anyone, but those that are at best are going to have opportunity to make an impact on 40% of the population. So that's kind of a alarming thing to think about.
Yes, and even if you said 50, it still begs the question, what about the other 50?
What about the other, and of course, which direction is that shift moving?